Hey, Dr. Mike here. Do you have high blood pressure? Maybe olives can help. Stay tuned to find out how.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. Dr. Crystal, we're talking about one of my favorite foods, fruits, whatever, of all time.
Oh, is it? I didn't know of all time.
I mean, I could eat. I'll tell you what, give me a block of cheese and a whole bunch of different types of olives, and I'm just happy all day long.
And you like all varieties?
All varieties. I've never met an olive I didn't like. And it's great to see, olive oils playing a role in helping to maintain cardiovascular health. As you know, there's a lot of factors in what maintains a healthy heart, cardiovascular system. And one of the big ones, right, is maintaining a healthy blood pressure, right? At the top of the list for heart issues, you're going to see high blood pressure.
Right. It's one of the leading, if not the leading risk factor for cardiovascular disease. We could throw in kidney disease, diabetes. It's just maintaining a healthy blood pressure is vital for overall health.
Absolutely. I mean, the only risk factor I might put in front of it is smoking when it comes to the heart.
Dr. Mike, I pulled this stat, and I think this is from the CDC, and I questioned that too. I said, how can high blood pressure be over smoking? But I would agree. I think smoking, by far, you see that as being, a very high risk factor.
Right. And of course, the United States, we're dealing with a lot of people who have things like diabetes, who have high blood pressure, and also smoke. They're getting triple whammies, quadruple whammies. And so anyways, cardiovascular health is critical. It's still the leading cause of death if you don't focus on it. Blood pressure has to be maintained at a nice range, optimal range. And so I'm glad to see us talking about another thing from nature.
I know.
That I happen to love.
and one thing I love, and you like the olives, and so you're referring to the olive fruit, but of course that fruit delivers a nice, delicious, extra virgin olive oil.
Wait, here's the thing. Wait, even back up. Wait. When you look at the olive plant, it's a tree. It's a tree. The olive tree, yes. Right? You got the fruit. The pulpy part, you got the oil, but then it turns out the leaves are also healthy.
I know.
Come on now. Other food sources need to catch up. So real quickly, reminder about what your blood pressure goals should be. Dr. Crystal, most doctors still do the 120 over 80. Evidence shows that maybe 115 over 75 is even better. At the end of the day, you at least want to be at 120 over 80.
Right. Generally speaking, I would say for the majority of the population, we know as you get older, just kind of give that little safety caveat in your older years, sometimes lower, as low as possible is not always best. You still need the pumping action to get that blood through the body, and that pressure certainly helps to circulate the blood.
Yeah. As you get older, doctors will accept a little bit higher blood pressure readings than they would for maybe a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or something like that.
But generally speaking,
so let's talk
over 80.
Yeah. It's still, no matter what your age is, 120 over 80, keep that as your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So now what today is really about is the oil, as you mentioned, right? It's not the pulp we get or the leaf.
We'll talk about the leaf some. We have some good research with the olive leaf.
Well, let's jump into the oil. Let's talk about the olive oil. Tell us a little bit about what do we think is going on? Why is olive oil now shown in clinical studies to be effective at reducing blood pressure? What do they think the mechanism of action is?
Yeah, Dr. Mike, I'm happy you asked that question, because most people think about olive oil as being a source of healthy fats. Those good monounsaturated fats. I think that's what the people think. Oh, it's a good fat for you. And what research is showing that, yes, it's a good fat. We like those monounsaturated fats. That's in your olive oil and your avocado. But olive oil is also giving us polyphenols,
Polyphenols.
antioxidants.
Yeah.
And the research is now showing when we're looking at the heart health, we're thinking it's more of those polyphenols.
Yeah, for
those
sure.
Antioxidants that's giving us the heart health benefit, targeting oxidative stress in the body. And so, yes, we're seeing that olive oil is it's one of the components, if not one of the most important components of the Mediterranean diet. Yeah.
There you go.
That diet that across, many different disease states, it seems to be kind of the best eating pattern around.
For sure. Yeah, I know you and I, we put it at the top of our list.
Okay.
And wasn't it a couple of years ago, they showed that really what it is, it's the amount of polyphenols people in the Mediterranean region eat because of all these different olives and other types of fruits and leafy. It's really based on the longevity of the Mediterranean people is most likely linked to polyphenols.
Yep. And so we do see lower risk of cardiovascular disease, including blood pressure. There's one randomized double-blind crossover trial published in the American Journal of Hypertension. Found that 2 months of a polyphenol-rich olive oil diet was associated with about close to 8-point decrease in systolic, that top number, and about a 6.5-point reduction in that bottom number, the diastolic blood pressure. This was in young women with high to normal blood pressure.
Yep. Listen, a close to an 8-point drop in systolic. You guys, that's big. I mean, that's you're getting into low dose pharmaceutical stuff when you look at, that's big.
You're right, Dr. Mike. And what's nice about it, this is just a side note, so many people struggle to get the numbers down. Even with pharmaceuticals, let's try this and then let's add this in.
You are opening up a can of worms.
Sorry.
Listen, I know we say this all the time. You hear nutritionists and you hear wellness coaches. 120 over 80, you've got to be in there. But as a clinician who has been on the front line treating blood pressure, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to say half the people I saw, getting them just to 140 over 90 was a celebration. And that often took several different classes of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy. And that's because high blood pressure is multifactorial. You've got issues with salt. You got issues with your kidneys. You got angiotensin system. You got the calcium blood. I mean, there's a whole array of reasons. Yeah. Those vessels get angry and blood pressure goes up. And so it's hard to treat.
It's hard to treat. And then the other piece, Dr. Mike, that I'm sure you've seen, it's difficult to target both numbers.
Yeah, well, that's why. No, this is okay. This is really funny. I know this is aside. This is aside. So that's why. Okay, so when I was in medical school, the focus was on both numbers, but and it was difficult. It was hard, and I noticed maybe like in the early 2000s, whatever, they kind of started to shift the conversation more towards just the top number. Because they were getting successful at getting somebody to 130, 120, but there was nothing they could do at that bottom number. So doctors decided the bottom number just don't matter. But there is let me hold on. I got it back. I'm being a little funny. Let me back up. There is good evidence that the key number, though, you really want to is that top number, the systolic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one you want to focus on. Anyway,
the olive oil targeting both.
It's great. Love it. So simple. I assume in this study it was maybe what does it say? What was it like? Where was it? Polyphenol rich olive oil diet. So this could have been vinaigrettes, olive oil itself, capsules maybe, or was it just dietary?
And I don't have those details. I can, quickly look them up as we're going through this to see if we have it. But I do know, like our next study that we wanted to feature, they gave them the olive oil. So, told them 3.5 teaspoons of olive oil per day.
Write down.
In place of other fats versus the control group, like in their usual diet.
So they were able to use it in making a vinaigrette. They would use the olive oil, not something else. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And what did they see in that one?
So, and that was another 2-month diet where they kind of on purpose added in that amount of olive oil, again, 3.5 tablespoons per day. And they found that one is the olive oil impacted the cell membrane lipid composition. And we know that's what those fats, they kind of get in, and you want those healthy fats in those cell membranes, targeting oxidative stress. And it also helped with the membrane transport activity and lowered the blood pressure.
Right.
So,
That's fantastic.
so multiple mechanisms of action.
Think about this. Instead of pill popping, although you still may need a pill or two, so let's don't get wrapped up in that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But here it's just the sweet old friendly olive, giving us its beautiful oil, and we're eating it in salads, and blood pressure is controlled better. Come on, that's cool stuff.
Well, to me, it's cool and it's easy stuff.
Yeah, safe, safe stuff. Yeah, safe stuff. I'd also notice you have a meta-analysis here. A meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. Remember, that's where they just group. It just allows you to have more confidence a little bit in the results because you got more people. You're pulling people, and basically they're showing the same thing, right? High, polyphenol intake with extra virgin olive oil, right? Versus, I guess, low intake showed better reduction in systolic.
Right. And with this study, they were comparing, and this is a point that I think is important to make. All olive oil is not created equal. You have some olive oils that are just because they're picked at the right time, harvest at the right time, right ripeness, the location impacts the polyphenol content in those olives. And so this was kind of comparing a high versus a low phenolic extra virgin olive oil. So the point here is, call the company, see if they can give you just a general estimate. Have they tested their olive oil for polyphenol content? Because this showed that the high phenolic extra virgin olive oil was best for lowering the systolic blood pressure. This was in kind of that meta-analysis.
I got to tell you, it's very interesting. It's a great point to bring up because you and I have a friend together. I'm not going to say her name, but she works in training at Life Extension. I'll just leave it there. Years ago, she was into doing shots of olive oil. She actually brought in a jug of olive oil, and she would do a shot a day of whatever she was doing. And I tried it with her one time, and I go, yeah, that's olive oil, but I think the quality, something was off with it. So I went out and bought what we know is proven. It's been shown. There's the papers to prove that this is pure extra virgin olive oil. I gave her a shot of that, and I took one. And the difference was real olive oil with those polyphenols is peppery. There's a kick to it.
Yes.
Right. And the one she was doing was kind of easy to drink. And I thought, so we tried this one. She does a shot and she's like, she wasn't ready for that. I go, that's what you should be using to do your shot.
That's right.
So remember that good olive oil has a punch to it, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Let's move into the leaf, because now here's what's interesting. I've been aware of the benefit of the olive leaf for a while with blood pressure. The oil was kind of new for me, but we have known the leaf has some pretty powerful compounds that are able to also play a role in lowering blood pressure as well, right?
Right. And shockingly enough, nature knows best, but the leaves contain more of one particular phenolic compound, oleuropein.
Oleuropein, yes. That's one of the phenols you find in the oil too, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's the most abundant type of polyphenol in the olive leaves. And it's what we're thinking helps to support that healthy blood pressure. And olive leaves contain about 1 to 14% of this particular polyphenol olive oil is, 0.005% to about 0.12%. So there's a pretty big difference between the amount of this unique or this particular polyphenol oleuropein. And so you're getting that in the olive leaf. So of course, the researchers are now saying, well, let's see how this impacts blood pressure.
And it does in a very positive way at the end of the day. You know what's cool about this? See, this is, again, Dr. Crystal, the olive and the olive leaf, the olive tree. It's a glorious thing because it is actually, it itself has figured out that standardization of key compounds is important. Look at that. The leaf is basically is a concentrated standardization of a key compound for blood pressure control.
You do. And then whenever you kind of take it to the next level, you get humans involved. And then we say, let's guarantee a specific amount of this oleuropein.
That's the thing. Yeah, you have to have that right amount, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's dosing, that's standardization. That's how it should be, right? So here we had a review, another meta-analysis, 5 randomized trial, including 325 patients up to 80 years old, 500 milligrams a day of olive leaf extract for at least 8 weeks. And that was associated with an average reduction of almost 6 points on the top number compared to placebo or no treatment.
Yes, and the placebo and no treatment. And I particularly pulled out one of the studies that was included in that systematic review, and wanted to feature that, Dr. Mike, because one of the studies compared the olive leaf extract to captopril, which is a hypertension. It's an ACE inhibitor, a blood pressure medication. So this was a 12-week randomized clinical trial that compared, the blood pressure lowering effects between. Again, this is an active control, right? And in both the olive leaf and that blood pressure medication, both groups experienced reductions in systolic and diastolic blood pressure with no important difference in the effects between the two compounds.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. Having an active control like that, I think, is great because that's the real world. Most people who are listening to this are interested, are probably already on at least one medication, and maybe they're not at that 120 over 80. Hey, this is the opportunity to let integrative medicine step in.
Yeah.
Right. Get on, give it a try. Try the olive oil, try the olive leaf, start somewhere. And keep in mind, high blood pressure is multifactorial. Just like on the conventional side, it often takes multiple different types of drugs. It's probably going to take, if your goal is all natural, it's going to take probably a combination of several different ones, from magnesium to pine bark extract, taurine, olive. It's probably going to be a combination of things. What do you think?
You took the words out of my mouth. That was going to be my next point as you were talking. I was listening, but I was thinking about that. I wanted to say it's a multimodal approach, and you have to come at it from different angles with blood pressure. Yep. And I have to talk about your diet, your sodium intake. We like the Mediterranean diet. We also like the DASH diet, and the common denominator with those is getting in lots of green leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds, and of course being mindful of your sodium intake.
Yeah. And of course with those diets too, you're just what that translates at the micronutrient level is more minerals, more good minerals, more of your magnesiums, your seleniums, potassium. Yeah. Exchange. Yeah. We need more potassium, less sodium, right? That's the count. So that's why those diets work.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's rebalancing your body the way it should be when it's trying to manage blood flow, blood volume, and blood pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So what do you think about drinking it straight?
I'm not a fan. I have to tell you, Dr. Mike, yeah. I've gone to olive bars. I don't know if you've ever visited. It's an olive oil bar. And it's a place where it's like wine tasting.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't been to an olive oil one, but I've been to like a hot salsa one before, like where it's all these different hot sauces.
So same idea.
Yeah.
So I've gone to the olive oil bar where you have all of these different types of olive oils, but I also attended an olive oil tasting event, which is similar to wine tasting. And,
they teach you how it should taste and everything.
Vintages. And it's the same idea.
Yeah.
And so I said all that to say there was a lot of just straight olive oil that I was consuming. And I'm just not a fan. I want mine dipped with some nice bread.
Put it in a good vinaigrette. Get a nice, good piece of bread. Yeah, come on. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I tried that shot one time with our friend, and I couldn't do that every day. To be honest with you,
I cook with olive oil, and I think that's the best way, right? You can get it, and you're getting that if it's the 3.5 tablespoons, like in the study that we mentioned earlier. But you have to, with these shots of olive oil, it's calories now. It's 120 calories
per tablespoon.
Per tablespoon. Right? So you see in the fitness world, men and women, if you're trying to bulk up, now that like your weight professional bodybuilders, and they're struggling to get calories in, like you just can't eat enough.
Olive oil. Yeah.
They take shots of olive oil to get the calories.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
I think I think cooking with it is, a great way. This is what I do. I get most of my olive oil when I roast vegetables. Because I'll take I've told you I'll roast any vegetable. I don't care if you're supposed to or not. I love roasted vegetables. And I don't over roast either. They just get a nice little cook to them a little bit. It's a drier cook. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little crispy. I don't burn it or anything like that. But I mix it all with probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil, to be honest with you. And a little dash of salt, a little dash of pepper, and that's it.
That sounds good, Dr. Mike.
Well, it sounds real good. What about, if somebody wants to do olive oil, and I think the same question could hold for olive leaf. Is it best in the morning, best in evening? What do you think?
Any time of the day.
Yeah. I will tell you this. If you're keeping a blood pressure diary, you might want to notice, if you're waking up and your blood pressure is a little higher than the afternoon, you might want to take some more of this at night to cover you better at night. Yeah. So you kind of have to look at your own diary and where you think I could fit some of these things in versus your.
That's a good point, Dr. Mike. Maybe at night to help you dip.
Yeah. So and that is what is kind of a trend in the conventional side is they're splitting. If you're on 2 or 3 different drugs, you'll do maybe 1 in the morning, 2 at night, or something like that to just get better 24-hour coverage. Because when you first wake up, blood pressure will spike normal.
That's the cortisol effect, right?
And just trying to dampen that a little bit. Yeah. You gotta get moving. I gotta go to work. I gotta go get my olive oil. This is fantastic information. I hope you found it as awesome and enjoyable as I did. I love the olive. Cheers to one of the hardest working foods out there, I think. It's
I
really
agree.
Awesome. And listen, it's been used for millennia. I mean, come on. That's a staple. Bread, things that have been eaten for that many. Those are staple things in keeping humans alive.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's look, Dr. Mike, it's even keeping my knees limber.
Don't go into all. Jeez.
I'm not.
She's going to get on her soapbox about her knees and all
some of our previous podcasts.
All right. Don't forget, you go to liveforeverish.com. Why would you do that? Because there are so many other podcasts to download, like, share, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a show. That's liveforeverish.com. We're fine wherever you listen to podcasts at. We're all over the place. Just go to Apple, go to where, I don't know, iHeart, wherever you go.
Twitch,
whatever. Subscribe right there. Live Forever so you never miss a show. And then our sponsor, Life Extension, because you guys are awesome, wants to give you a nice little discount. So go to lifeextension.com, do your shopping. When you check out, put in the discount code podcast, and you get 10% off $50 or more plus free shipping, and handling. I'm Dr. Mike. That is
Dr. Crystal.
I did it right.
Yes,
see you
you
next time.
did.
Thanks for listening.